So that's A. B, if you're near another universe, gravitational effects permeate the boundaries of your universe and can touch another universe. So, in principle, we could feel the effects of other universes embedded in this higher dimensional space. That could be simply the meta fabric of the multiverse.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're saying ghosts are real and they're people in another universe that happen to live inside your house in a rubber sheet universe.
Revolutionary developments have changed the entire landscape. Data from outer space have given us a new look at cosmology. And satellite data indicates there could be parallel universes.
In yet another scenario, many parallel universes occupy the same space and time as our universe. But because they are in different dimensions, they are invisible. In yet another, all the laws of physics are different, so everything looks completely different.
New theories called string theories are giving us worlds of higher dimensions. Quantum physics at the microscopic scale is also revealing to us the fact there could be parallel universes.
So I haven't done a video on the Mandela Effect in over a year, maybe a year and a half or so even. When I started wrestling with the whole question of the Rock of Gibraltar, and I had remembered it being in the middle of the street, and some other people had as well. Of course, plenty of people also remembered it being always attached to Spain. So I did 2 videos on it, and just left it alone, and probably was just hoping it would go away. And since that time, I suppose I have maintained a position of cautious inquiry. I don't write off the idea as ludicrous or crazy, but at the same time, I'm certainly not opposed to the idea that we could remember things incorrectly and even seem to collectively remember things incorrectly. And so it continues to be a rather strange issue, and I have some very good friends who are quite convinced that it's real, and others who are convinced that it's just, pure internet delusion. And so I've never really gone over to either side, and that's not just because I've been afraid to offend either side. I've just legitimately been in this sort of inconclusive place, and I think I'm okay with it, especially after all the wrestling I've done with the whole question of cosmology and the Earth and space and everything. Not having it all figured out is a place that I'm quite comfortable with, but at the same time, the reason I do want to talk about it is because, for me, regardless of whether or not there actually is some sort of dimensional shenanigans going on that is creating like a legitimate cases of the Mandela Effect, at least some of the cases, or whether or not it's all just an idea that people have latched onto and are basically, imagining it. Either way, to me, the Mandela Effect topic is significant because of how it actually, coincidentally, ties into theories that in the mainstream realm of physics and quantum physics that are being talked about all the time. And I admit, I find that a little suspect. Of course, what I'm talking about specifically is things like string theory, the multiverse, parallel universes, all these kinds of things. So whether or not you are convinced that the Mandela Effect is real, the reality is that a lot of people do think it's real, and out of those people that think it's a real phenomenon, a good number of those people, as a consequence, have come to believe in this idea of parallel dimensions, parallel universes, the multiverse, whatever. The many worlds theory. And this is the point that to me is where I do draw a line, and where I do think that this is a false conclusion, and one that we need to be really skeptical of, especially because, if for no other reason, it is being pushed so hard by mainstream scientism, and has been something that has been propagated in Hollywood for such a long time. I mean, with movies like Back to the Future being one of those seminal examples of how this concept was basically broadcast to the world on a massive scale. So as silly or speculative as the whole concept of the multiverse might seem to a lot of people, as time goes on and things like quantum computing become more and more of a household word, and Google and NASA and D-Wave and all these companies are working together, and with CERN and with, I mean, it's not conspiracy speculation at this point to tie all these groups together, because they're all coming together as one and pushing this whole narrative of other dimensions, and basically trying to sell this idea that these computers are computing in higher dimensions, and that we're actually contacting other dimensions. And you even have people like Neil deGrasse Tyson and Michio Kaku talking about how supposedly the quote cold spot in the microwave background radiation could be the result of a alleged bruise in the universe, a bruise in the fabric of space-time or whatever, where our universe is bumped up against the dimension of another universe and the multiverse. I mean, they talk about this stuff seriously, but the irony of it is that I've actually kind of been wanting to mention this guy for a long time. I came across him before I even started doing videos, but this dude has been around for a number of years, teaching people about and conducting seminars, participating in this activity which he calls quantum jumping. I kid you not, that's what he calls it. And really all that quantum jumping is just the same old meditation group hypnosis techniques. You can do it in a group or even individually, but the same things that have been developed in so many of the occult groups such as Scientology and L. Ron Hubbard, use these techniques, hypnotic past life regression, all these different sort of slants on the same basic concept of inducing an altered state of consciousness and bringing a person back to, whether they believe it's a past life or talking with their ancestors, or going into an altered state and talking with aliens, or whatever you want. There's so many different guises that can be put on the same basic practice, and this is just yet another one. And he's been actually utilizing the whole quantum universe, the multi-universe stage, as yet another gimmick for the same basic practice. So in this sense, he'll do a seminar, and a lot of times it's pretty simple, where it's just talking in a very droning hypnotic voice, and you turn the lights down low and tell everyone to close their eyes, and counting down, and you're getting sleepy, and you're going down through the floor, and whatever. There's all the techniques to where you hypnotize yourself, put yourself in a trance, just like if you're going into astral projection or whatever. It's the same process of self hypnosis, only in his case the participants believe that they are actually going to another parallel universe and talking to a parallel self, like their own self in another universe. So depending on what it is you want to improve in your life, whether you want to succeed in business, or you want to succeed in a relationship, or you want to succeed in athletics or whatever, you can go and talk to the alternate you in whatever alternate universe that has succeeded in that particular thing, and engage with them and talk to them, and they'll tell you how to improve. I mean, it's crazy. So it's amazing how similar this is to the Spirit Man thing that I was talking about recently with Dan Duval and Bright Ministries, where they have this whole quasi-evangelical, charismatic, occult, version of the same idea, where you think you're talking to yourself in the spirit realm, talking to your spirit person, but of course, who you're really talking to. And that is the whole point, is that when you go into these states, when you go into these realms, the beings that you're talking to can look like anyone and anything they want. Even look like an exact, doppelganger of yourself. So this idea has been around. And so if this whole quantum parallel reality concept is something that can actually be used even just with something that is low tech, as just, hypnotizing a group of people, just like they do at parties and things like that. What does that mean if we're actually talking about this is the same idea, the same false construct, this same false idea that is now being applied to something as massive as quantum computing, which are really just they're talking about once they get quantum computers to where they they hope they're going to get very soon. That it's basically like a big crystal ball where they just want to ask it questions and it's going to solve all these problems and just spit out answers. And I mean, it's just straight up, it's a divination device that's going to be plugged into everything. And like Gans has been saying for how many years now, it's, you know, this is exactly what the Bible described. Is the image of the beast that was made to speak.